Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and a brand new series that I am going to call the Great Escape series. This is all things RV, motorhome, campervan, camping, you name it, we're doing it. Now, the beginning of this video was filmed last week in the heat wave that we had here in the UK. It got up to 33 degrees and my craft room was ridiculous at like 45. So I could not do resin and I figured I would come downstairs, play with polymer clay, and that's exactly what I did. I ran to Amazon and I ordered some fresh polymer clay and some clay tools, and I still have this giant tile from our old house, the bathroom. I kept it for the oven so that you can work with your polymer clay directly on the tile. I also ordered this absolutely beautiful mould. Did I look at the dimensions? No. I did not realise it would only be the size of my thumbnail, but as the kids say, we move. This is the Fimo that I ordered. So this is the Fimo Soft and this is the instructions. So 30 minutes, 110 degrees C. Guys, that's not even like gas mark 1. Okay, for me, that's like less than gas mark 1, so quite tricky. And yeah, at first I was thinking Katie Sue. Now, Katie Sue Designs, look her up. Her molds are absolutely stunning. She focuses and predominantly specializes in sugar paste and fondant, and she places the colors individually down into her molds, presses the fondant down into the molds individually, like one at a time, each color. And then when she demolds, it just looks absolutely stunning. Guys, I tried it and I'm just one big quitter. I'm such a quitter. If at first I don't succeed, I quit and I move on because it was actually driving me nuts. It was so hot. I felt like the polymer clay was melting in my hands. So we're just going all in. We're going to shove it, all of it, all the colors. So we're going to make multiple different colors and then we're going to marble some clay and make those as well. So much easier to just shove it down into the mold, demold it this way. Now, if you look on the left of the screen, you'll see that camper van there. That's the result from my first attempt at putting colors in individual spaces. It was not working, and I was absolutely not about that life in this heat. So I made a few just plain white polymer clay caravans. Now this is of course a trailing caravan. You would pull this behind your car with your, what do you call it, tow bar? Yeah, your tow bar. So yeah, it's a form of escape, isn't it? I wish I had one. I wish I had all of it, guys. I am so into the camping lifestyle, but I've got to the age where I just feel like I'm a little bit too old to go in a tent and lay on an airbed, you know? I feel like I need a motorhome at this point. But of course, you know, I'm not sure I could get one for my £17.65 budget. The other thing to mention is that I have not done polymer clay and or air dry clay in such a long time. My hands are doing so well. The medication, I got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis last year, as I'm sure all of you are tired of me talking about, but the medication I've been on now for about 5 months and my hands are doing amazing. Like no pain. I'm not waking up in pain. It just feels great. It feels like there's nothing wrong with me at this point. So I knew it was about time I cracked on with the air dry clay and the polymer clay. So hopefully I'll get to do some air dry clay soon as well. Anyway, back to the video. At that point you saw there, I just cut some pink and white and layered it in a straight line. Now my polymer clay blade is up in my craft room on the 3rd floor in the 46-degree heat. Couldn't find it and couldn't spend much time up there looking. So I decided to go for the next best professional tool and use my salad cutting knife. Don't judge me, okay? It will go in the washing machine. It'll be fine. But I'm loving these. I am absolutely loving these. Now, is the mold way smaller than I expected it to be? Yes. But I had so much fun. And honestly, there are days like today, like full transparency, guys. There are days like this where I wish I didn't do resin at all, because I can sit down in the living room with my dog and craft, just chill out, music on the telly, cup of tea in hand, and I can just sit and craft in the living room with my dog, you know? And you can't do that with resin. You can't be around your pets. You shouldn't be doing resin around your cats and dogs and blah, blah, blah. Of course, I don't see George for a couple of hours when I'm working on the top floor. So I thoroughly enjoyed being able to just chill out in the living room and play with polymer clay. But anyway, this is what we're looking like. At this point, I was getting a little bit more confident, mixing colours together and blending in some yellow and blue and pink together with some white. I was just loving the marble results. And those few that I made at the beginning, the plain white, I ended up just scraping a couple of them off and using the white because I thought, well, at some point, I'm going to have to colour these in, bring them a little bit to life, like maybe highlight the wheels, highlight the doors, highlight the windows and all of that. But yeah, I was truly enjoying this in the sense that I really couldn't do much else. There was nothing much else I could do in this level of heat. But oh my gosh, so much fun. Look at this tiger stripe. Love, love, love. I cannot wait to do more polymer clay, honestly. These remind me of those, you know, those marshmallow sweets. I'm not a marshmallow lover, but what are they called? Flumps or something? Lumps? I don't know. Anyway, squishing it in, shoving it in, pressing it down, smooching it around, doing all of the things to get that in there. I thought, well, this will be a cute little stripe. And of course, it did turn out that way. It just, yeah, had so much fun. Now, I'm not going to make you sit through all of the things. So we are going to jump forward to the last couple that I made. Now, what I am doing is pressing them down onto my tile prior to peeling the mould back, because the videos I've watched online are so helpful, and they do say that your polymer clay will cure much better if you do not move it from the tile prior to putting it in the oven. Okay, so this is what we're looking like. We've got a whole bunch of towing caravans. Is that the right word, guys? Have any of you got one of these, please? Have any of you got one of these? Make me jealous in the comment section because, oh my gosh. One of these is probably all the UK roads can handle, honestly. Like the big American RVs, the UK roads could never. Like they could never. You'd get trapped down the country lanes. Now at this point, you could create fridge magnets, earrings, pendants, you name it, whatever you want to do with it, key rings. The choice is yours. I did decide that as this was around about 5 days later, it had cooled down enough for me to resin. I was going to put them into resin key rings. And that's great and all, but I kind of wish I didn't. The mould I'm using is the 9 cavity keyring mould from Moulds and Shapes. Now, guys, remember next month, July 2026, Moulds and Shapes reopen for their last and final series of orders before they close for good in September 2026. So if this mould is something you want to get your hands on, guys, fully recommend it. It's my absolute favourite go-to keyring mould. Get it on your list. And then next month when Moulds and Shapes reopen for those final, forever. Oh, guys, the heartbreak is real. Let me tell you, they are closing their doors in September 2026. So get this on your list and your discount code. Do not forget to use it, guys. Especially if you're doing a big final goodbye Moulds and Shapes order. Make sure you use my discount code and get that money off. Okay, back to the video. Now, at this point, I'm thinking camper van, the great outdoors, sitting in the grass with blue skies, right? Very, very cartoony. And that's fine. You know, I kind of knew the direction I was going in. I just wasn't quite prepared for where the results were going to take me and take my brain. So we're going with gorgeous blue sky, green grass. We're going to sit our little towing caravan in the grass. Now I'm using the Let's Resin Cyan Blue with a hint of white added. And I'm also using the Arteza Green for the grass. I want not much resin in these. I want to be able to lay down my caravans without them protruding through the surface of the mould, right? I want it to be fully embedded in the resin. So just pouring the sky first because I want the majority of it to be blue, and then just a little bit of grass at the bottom and just tilting the mould until I am kind of like, well, that was a bit quick, Claire, there. But I did tilt the mould up because I don't want too much grass. I just want that hint of the grass at the bottom. And that was enough for me to just sit my caravans on top of. Now, at this point, I just feel like I was getting a bit lost, which is kind of ironic because that's the whole point of this series, is to go and just get lost in nature. But I was like, oh, I don't know if these are too cartoony for me, and did I really want this to go this way? What I did do was use the micro brush tool to even out those grassy areas. I didn't, obviously, if you're looking at the others at the bottom, they're all just splodges at this point. They're just green dollopy splodges, and I don't want that. I want them to be straight across and kind of flat ground. I don't want my caravan rolling off a cliff. But I just used my micro brush tool to scrape them along and flatten them out. Equally, I didn't want to add any more resin to these because at this point I've got enough resin in here. Now here, I'm thinking the resin is thickening up to the point where it's getting stringy. I could make grass, right? I could drag the green up into the blue and create these whimsical strands, not thinking they'd be taller than the actual towing caravan, right? So I don't know why. I think I was just excited to be working with resin again, and I was just like, I can do whatever I want. I could just do it. Hindsight, I wouldn't have done this. I would have just left them plain. I mean, you know, it's now time to put my towing caravans in. Now, my plan was to put some wording in with these, right? So little simple wording or quotes or anything like that. So I decided, of course, the caravans do have to be in the grass and not floating in midair, because that just wouldn't look right either. And I placed each and every caravan down into the wet resin, and this is why I didn't need much resin at all. I don't want the caravans to be buried in that. So just enough resin to hold the caravans in place until the next day when we sort it out and top coat. Now this is 24 hours later. This is where it all went a little bit left. What I really wanted to do was visually pull out some of the details from the caravans, right? They're cute and all, but you'd have to, I think with some of them, you'd have to kind of like look up close and be like, what is that? What is that? So I ordered these again. You would have seen me use these many times, but the one I have is like really, really struggling right now. So I ordered another set of Sharpie ultra fine pens. I knew I'd be able to get the super fine detail around the door, the window, the tires, the actual black rubber tires of the camper van, and just pull out some of the detail. I just immediately felt like it was just a bit too harsh, you know? It's taken away from all of those bright pastel summery colours, and now we've got darkness, and I don't know, I wasn't feeling it. I did change it up a little bit, so instead of colouring the whole tyre in black, I ended up just doing around the outside of the tyre in black, and the tyre then stayed the same colour as the clay. Next up, I decided to start colouring in. Now this is where I just felt like we're turning into a colouring book at this point. It's all a little bit like, this is, I don't know, I just felt like it was something my 7-year-old self would have made. But, you know, I had fun in the process, and that's the whole point of it, right? I had used the Sharpie, the permanent black Sharpie fine tip. I'd used it too much. It was hard to stop. It was one of those, like, once you start, where do you stop? And I was trying to make patterns, create lines, and make the campers look like the campers that I see out and about, right? And I think a lot of it just didn't translate, and it just made them look way too messy. They looked like hand drawings, like I said, from my 7-year-old self. And I wasn't feeling it. But like I said, as the kids would say nowadays, we move, right? So at this point, it's time to put the next layer of resin on. Now, this is going to be another 2 layers of resin at this point. The plan was to either pour the resin and then wait for it to cure and add my vinyl words, or get the vinyl words down into the resin at this point. Now, I wasn't sure which direction I was going to go. So again, hindsight is a wonderful thing, and sometimes having a plan is a good thing, right? So I have to say a massive thank you to my patrons over on my Patreon page. I asked you all what words, give me just like one words or short sentences or anything that you think would look good in these key rings, and you guys came through. Thank you so much. I used pretty much all of your suggestions, bar one, because I couldn't weed it. Okay, I was really struggling to weed it, so I did actually get all of your ideas, but it was the weeding that I found really, really hard. Now, like I said, hindsight is a wonderful thing, because I wasn't sure if I was going to add the letters now or wait for that clear layer of resin to cure and stick the vinyl onto the clear layer of resin. But as it was, I decided to just go for it now using the UV resin technique. And that is something you saw recently on my channel that I tried out for the first time, and I absolutely loved it. So here we are. But guys, I wish I did black vinyl, because the second I put these words in, all I could think about was Peppa Pig. Immediately, I was like, oh my goodness me, they're Peppa Pig. And that's like, I couldn't then get it out of my head, and that was not my intention. That was not, guys. I did not set out thinking, let's make Peppa Pig key rings. That will be so, no, I didn't, okay? But the colour choices, I think if I used black vinyl, maybe it would have looked less naive and childlike, less colouring book, and less Peppa Pig. But here we are. We have got a lot going on here, and it's too messy for me. It's too messy for my brain. Did I enjoy it? Absolutely, yes, I did. Are there some techniques in here that I absolutely love? Yes. It made me realise how much I missed polymer clay. It made me realise that I'm not good at colouring in polymer clay, and I definitely should not do that again. And yeah, I also love the UV resin with the vinyl technique of just being able to do it that way. It is so easy, so simple. Now, the next day it was demould. I'm not taking you through all of that because I feel like this video is long enough. Each and every one had a bit of a crunchy edge. Not every single one, but at least 4 out of the 9. I just needed to use some 1500 grit wet dry sandpaper and give each and every one a bit of a rub around the edges just to make them nice and smooth. For what and who, I don't know, because I can't imagine a single person buying these, honestly. It's just my thoughts and feelings, guys. I promise you I'm not being hard on myself. If we're all honest, they're just a bit too naive, a bit young, a bit childlike, and that's definitely not me. I don't necessarily like childlike art, and they're just way too Peppa Pig. I mean, I'm just waiting for Peppa to come out of one of these vans and jump in muddy puddles. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, this is what they're looking like with the key rings on. And I think top right, Escape. That's my favourite one. I love the way that looks. And Escape is, I mean, let's be honest, pretty much something I want to do about this video is just escape it at this point. But do you know what? This has taken well over a week to film, what with the polymer clay and the resin. And I have had fun doing it. And we have to remind ourselves that that's okay. Even if we don't absolutely love the results. I am definitely not obsessed. I know some people think I'm obsessed with everything, but I promise I am not. And I will always be honest with you and be like, yeah, no, this is not my cup of tea. Have I enjoyed making it? Yes. I appreciate you all so much for being here. I hope there was something in this video, somewhere along the line, a technique maybe that you can take away and think, I'm going to do that myself. If you do, don't forget, hashtag Claire made me do it. Or in this case, hashtag Claire made me never do this. Okay? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in the next video. Bye.